Alright, welcome to this module. In this module we're going to talk about the second part of the self-produced print-on-demand e-commerce business model. Okay, and in this module we are going to take a critical look at the different types of printing technologies available to you as a self-produced or print-on-demand t-shirt business entrepreneur. You should be able to understand how these printing technologies work and decide on which technology to utilize in your business. Okay, without wasting much time, let's get to it. Now, here is an overview of the different printing technologies that we are going to examine. So I've got some video clips around accompanying each of these, so that you will see a demonstration or more explanation of each of these techniques, so that you can be able to make up your mind and know which particular technology to go for. Okay, now all of them are good, but just that some of them are good for a particular type of design or t-shirt print. So some are best for printing small volumes, some are better for printing larger volumes. So this is it. So let's move. So the first we are going to look at is screen printing, which is actually one of the most popular techniques for printing on t-shirts. Screen printing simply involves using a mesh to transfer the ink onto a t-shirt. So each color requires a separate screen. So therefore it's kind of suitable for printing large volumes of t-shirts. It's not the best option if you want to do full color prints. It's not the best. Screen printing is not the best. So if you are going to be printing full color t-shirts, you shouldn't use this technique because it doesn't give you the best. It's cumbersome. It's cumbersome to use screen printing. So you can look for another type of another technology like direct to garment, which gives you vibrant prints or sublimation. Alright, so here is the video on how to use screen printing, or how it works.
You're gonna need a screen, a squeegee, and some photo emulsion. This stuff comes in two parts. You're gonna add a little water to the little bottle of sensitizer and mix it up. That loosens it from the sides of the bottle, and then you can pour it into the emulsion. Then you're gonna mix that all together really well until it's a consistent green color. It might take a little while, but you want to make sure that you get it fully consistent. Once you have it, you pour a little bit of it onto the screen. You don't need to use very much because it spreads really thin once you use a squeegee. Make sure to get the entire thing covered where your art's going to be, and make sure it's really even. Now don't leave this out in the light. Put a fan on it to dry and turn the lights off. You want it to dry in the dark. Once it's dry, you do want to work quickly because this stuff is photosensitive, so the longer the light's on it, the quicker it's going to set. Print out your art on some transparencies, and you can do this at any office supply store, and then lay them backward on the back of the screen. Lay a piece of glass over them to push them down against the screen, and then set a really bright light on top of it for about 30 or 45 minutes. The light exposes and hardens the emulsion that is not covered by the design, so you can see the lighter green stuff here didn't get exposed. You can use a light spray and a soft toothbrush to help remove this area. The way printing works is that the green area acts as a mask. The white or lighter area lets the ink through onto the surface that you're printing on. You want to do this gently because you don't want to remove anything that you actually need. This may take a little bit of time, and sometimes you may have mistakes. If you have areas that are mistakes or stuff you don't want to print yet, you can use some tape to cover them up. Use painter's tape and not duct tape. The duct tape will rip off the emulsion. Now lay out your shirt and place your screen, then add a nice thick bead of the screen printing ink. It's best to have somebody else hold your screen and then pull the squeegee down across your print. If you click here, you can see one of my first videos on this channel was how to make a 4-color printing press. This makes this process a lot easier, but it's really exactly the same. You hook in the screen, line it up with your center line, and then you can get repeatable nice prints on multiple shirts. You lay your shirt out in the same way and then use the machine to hold the screen down in place. You still pull it the same way and get just about the same results. You want to heat set these by throwing them in the dryer for a few minutes. You can reuse the screens too if you're finished with them by putting some photo emulsion remover on them. This is a simple solution that you can just kind of wipe on with a paper towel or a toothbrush. Make sure you put it on both sides, and it doesn't have to stay on for more than a couple of minutes. Then you can use a hose to wash out all the emulsion. If you use dark inks, sometimes it'll stain the screen itself, but you can still reprint through them as long as the emulsion is gone. Now it takes a little bit of practice. When you do this, you may end up having some bad shirts. It takes a little while to get the feel of how hard you need to push down the squeegee and how to do it evenly, because you want to make sure that you get a really even pull so that the ink is spread evenly through the screen. So it's best to find some old t-shirts to practice on before you try to use like your nice shirts that you've purchased for this. Now screen printing works on all sorts of things. Textiles, so any kind of t-shirt, canvas bag, aprons, even hats if you can work around the shape of the hat. All sorts of stuff like that. Any kind of clothing works really, really well. Just make sure to heat set it into the clothing like I showed you. You can also print on paper if you wanted to make posters or invitations, things like that. Paper.
Alright, so the next option here is direct to garments, which is actually a digital process. It involves transferring the image to the t-shirt digitally, because we call it digital because the artwork is digitalized. There is no mechanical transfer. Actually, the mechanical transfer happens at the ink head where the printer releases the ink onto the fabric, but the ink head is being guided, by digitally. So that's why they call it a digital printing technology. So this is common if you want to do full color prints. If you want to do full color prints quickly, it's very suitable. Also for intricate designs and small quantities of prints. Most of the marketplace print on demand platforms like Redbubble, Zazzle, TeePublic, they use direct to garment printing. Okay, so here's a video that explains how this works in detail. Okay, so let's talk about heat transfer printing. Heat transfer involves printing the design on a special paper, what we call a transfer paper, and then the machine actually applies pressure on the transfer paper, which is actually on the t-shirt. Now the heat kind of fuses the dye onto the fabric. It's commonly used for custom t-shirts, promotional items, and so many other types of transfer prints. This is also good for full color prints. You can use this. You can actually go for this if you plan to print promotional items like baseball caps, probably armbands, like ribbons and stuff like that, apart from t-shirts, hoodies and sweatshirts. So heat transfer printing is one of the options available to you, and we are going to look at this video. It explains this further. Now the next option here is sublimation print. Sublimation uses heat to transfer dye onto synthetic fabrics like polyester. The dye turns into gas and permeates the fabric, resulting in vibrant and durable prints. Now, sublimation prints are also good for printing full color prints or t-shirts. Sublimation is also, one of those printing technologies that some print-on-demand platforms use, depending on the type of fabric, depending on the type of material that you're printing on. So this is a good option. There are so many sublimation printing machines out there in the market that you can actually get to run your business. So it has a video that explains further how this works. The next technology or the next technique we are going to talk about is vinyl cuts. Cutters are used to cut out designs from vinyl sheets, which are then heat pressed onto the t-shirt. This method is often used for creating single color designs or lettering. Now, vinyl cutters are quite popular out there, just that the only thing is that they are kind of limited. You don't use them for creating complex color designs. It's just single color designs or two color designs, and it takes a lot of skill because you have to cut out the vinyl sheets before you actually apply the heat pressing, which forms the image on the t-shirt. Now here is the video that explains this in detail.
What's happening, everybody? Your boy Big Brando. I've been getting a lot of questions about doing a start to finish complete job on cutting vinyl to pressing vinyl onto a t-shirt showing the finished product. There's a handful of people out there that are kind of undecided about getting a vinyl cutter, or had questions about the Silhouette Cameo 3, which is the vinyl cutter that I use. So I'm gonna do a little step-by-step process on how to cut the vinyl, how to heat press it, and show the finished product. All right, here we go, guys. I'm gonna start from the beginning here. Let's just bring in our image. So what I do is I create the images in Photoshop, save them as PNGs. That way, so there's no background, it's a transparent background. Here is one of my leftover designs. I have my page here set up to 12 by 12. This design is a little under 12 inches, so it fits perfect. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna trace this thing. You gotta draw a box around everywhere that you want it to trace. And then usually what I do, you don't have to do it this way, but this is a easy way for me to do it, is take off the high pass filter. As you can see, you want everything to be yellow. Everything that's yellow is going to get cut out. And then I'll take down the scale down here to as low as I could go. everything looks fairly sharp. I'll bump up the threshold to 46%. This looks good. What you're gonna do is go up here to trace. Now it's all traced, ready to go. So here's the original, and then here's the traced image. You might not be able to see it on the camera, I'm sorry about that, but just delete that out of there. Now what you're gonna wanna do is flip this. You're gonna wanna mirror it, so it's gonna have to be flipped backwards, because when it cuts it out on the vinyl, it's gonna cut it out, and then from the backing, you're gonna put it down onto your t-shirt and print it out. So when you're doing heat transfer vinyl, make sure that you flip your image. This way you just right click or control click and then flip horizontal. So now we just flipped it backwards. It's gonna cut it backwards, but then when we press it onto the shirt, it's gonna be right side up. So from here, we're gonna go to cutting. So this is the cut settings. You're gonna wanna select your tool, what kind of paper you're gonna be cutting, shit like that. So they have a lot of presets on here. We're just gonna go down to, I think it's called heat transfer material. So the one I use is heat transfer material smooth. Click that, click tool 1, because the Cameo 3 has two cutting tools. I'm gonna choose tool 1, and then I'm gonna set that to the automatic blade. Now it's ready to go. So my design's traced out, vectored, ready to go. I flipped it horizontal. I told the Cameo which tools to use and what kind of material I'm gonna be cutting. So now let's load up the Cameo. All right, so the heat transfer vinyl that I use is the Thermoflex Plus. So here it is. There's two sides to it. There's a shiny glossy side, and then there's a dull side. The dull side is the side you want to cut. So I'm cutting a 15-inch roll here. So what you do want to be mindful for when you're doing 15-inch pieces of vinyl is that there's two screws right here. So you want to make sure when you feed it in here, because if you're doing a regular 12-inch roll, it'll line up to this little line and it'll feed through here, right? So this is a 15-inch roll. We're not going to go by these little lines. What we're going to do is center it, be mindful of the screw right here and the screw right there, and then once you have it in there, I'm just going to press load. Alright, so let's pan over here to the computer now that everything's loaded up, and we're going to send it to the Cameo. Start. Cameo's doing its thing, it's adjusting the blade. Now it's starting its cutting process. Alright, now let's get into the weeding process. Tools I use is a little picker. Sometimes I use the X-Acto knife. Easiest way to go about doing it is kind of just peeling up the corner, I guess, and then going from there. Like I said, this is the most painful process of doing vinyl. So this is what it looked like backwards, upside down when we cut it. And then this is what it looks like, or what it's gonna look like on the t-shirt. So the sticky side, it was up, it's covered in vinyl. We weeded it all out. That's why we cut it backwards. So this is the way it fed into the cutter. It cut it out backwards because it's gonna get pressed this way. So there it is. This is gonna be a back hit on a t-shirt. Let's move on over to the heat press. Alright, so now that you know how to do it, I don't know if this will make your decision a little easier on buying a vinyl cutter. You don't have to get the Silhouette Cameo 3 like the one I have. US cutter, Roland, there's a ton of different vinyl cutters that you can get out there. I use the Cameo 3 because, I mean, it fits my workspace and I don't need the big 24-inch cutter like I used to have. This right here will take the 15-inch rolls, it'll cut it down by 12, but it still feeds the same rolls, and like I said, I think things like $200 or something like that. So it fits my budget, really easy to use, and for my operation it works perfect. So I hope this helps some people out.
Okay, the next technique we are going to talk about is dye sublimation. This is a little bit like sublimation prints, they're kind of related. In this method, the dye is transferred onto a special paper and then heat pressed onto the t-shirt. The dye sublimates into the fabric, resulting in a permanent full color print. Dye sublimation printing is mostly used to print all over designs. What I mean by all over designs, you see some t-shirts that have designs all over them, not just in front or just at the back or just on the sleeves. So this gives you vibrant prints. You can use them for, you can use it for full color prints and printing large quantities of t-shirts or small quantities as the case may be. So here's a video.
In this video, you will see a transformation of blank shirt to a fully printed one, turning your ordinary shirt into a street fashion t-shirt. RJ900X is a 44-inch high productivity printer that can print large format full color designs with a printing speed up to 676 square feet per hour. You can create or customize your own designs and print it through SubliSoft Italy transfer paper, a premium quality paper with excellent dry time. And with the combination use of KiwaJet ink, we are able to see a wide range of vibrant colors and high-quality printed output with low ink consumption rate, which will give you an overall cost savings. Finally, press your printed layout into your blank t-shirt by heat pressing with Express M110. This machine can heat press shirts up to 110 by 85 cm size, with adjustable pressure and digital control for easy usage. In no time, you will see great results. From nothing into 100% full color print. Be creative, stylish, and step up your fashion business into the next level.
Discharge printing involves removing the dye from the fabric in specific areas, creating a design with a softer feel and vintage look. Okay, so there is a video attached here. This is not quite a popular actually it's not a very common printing technique. Okay, so here is a video I think that explains this.
Take the tank top, gonna go ahead and load it on the platen. Smooth it out, drop our white down. So for white, we're using a 180 mesh count. We're gonna give that 2 passes. For discharge printing, everything is butt registered. Not using an underbase. The gray here, we're gonna use a 230 mesh count, very high mesh. Don't need to flash this. Gave that 2 passes. And we've got red. Same thing. I'm gonna give this 2 passes. It's a 230 mesh count. All right. Take this off. Let you take a look. So as you can see, the ink is it's not really bright. It's not that visible. Discharge ink, it does need to, you know, go through the conveyor, spend some time in the conveyor to fully discharge, fully activate. Set it here, send it on through. Take a look at the digital settings on the conveyor. We've got it set at 685, which, you know, for the temperature of the ink, it's only going to reach about 325, 345, and then we've got it set to 1. And for us, we've got it timed. That's about pretty close to 3 minutes in the conveyor. So let's go ahead on down to the end of the chamber here. 46 degrees temperature. It was in the conveyor for about 3 minutes. For discharge ink, you know, it's best for the ink to be in there for, you know, at least 3 minutes to fully activate. Go ahead and take a look here. The ink is a lot more vibrant. And then the red. So the red, we did halftone. We've got the full, you know, red here, and then the halftone right here. So we used a 230 mesh count, which with this discharge ink, awesome ink, man. You know, we didn't have to push a ton of ink into the shirt to get a good soft print, and we're not using a forced air conveyor. So we didn't saturate, you know, the shirt with like get it really wet with ink, discharge ink. And we fully cured the discharge ink with a infrared conveyor dryer. Very soft print, very vibrant. Take a look here. We've got the white, got the gray. The red and gray were just a discharge base with the neo pigments added in, and then the white was just a discharge white. There it is. Thank you for watching this video tutorial on discharge printing. We were using the Hanes Comfort Wash line in this video. These are some awesome t-shirts and tank tops to use for discharge printing. Because of the drying process, when they are dyed, there's no risk for shrinking after washing. We're going to wash this at least 10 times, and we'll post the results on our Instagram page. So, you know, follow us on Instagram, and you'll be able to keep up with the wash test on this. And, you know, I'll also post a short link or article on the products that we use in the videos. You know, the mesh count, the discharge ink, all that stuff. That way you can, you know, check it out for yourself. So thank you for watching, and till next time, happy printing.
Okay, so the next 2 options are water-based printing and plastisol transfers. Now, water-based inks are used. Water-based inks are used in screen printing to create a softer and more eco-friendly print, and the more suitable for lighter colored fabrics. Now, water-based inks and plastisol transfers, these kind of printing technologies, they are kind of dated. They are not that contemporary or recent, but they're also good. They also give you good results. Okay, so he has a video that explains both of these printing technologies.
Good, everybody? Mark here from
in detail.
What's good, everybody? Mark here from Attack Clothing, and I'm here to share with you guys what I learned when I started my clothing brand. So if you guys are interested in starting your own t-shirt business, creating a brand, or growing your social media, consider subscribing. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the difference between Plastisol ink and a water-based ink. When you get your shirt screen printed, the most popular ink that print shops use for screen printing is Plastisol ink. Plastisol ink is made up of two main ingredients, which are PVC resin, which is a white powder, and plasticizer, which is a thick clear liquid. Print shops usually use this type of ink because it's easy to use and doesn't really clog up the screens. When you use this ink on garments, it lays on top of the garment and dries up when cured. This ink will make the color of your design really pop out, especially if it's on a dark garment. So this is our Colossal shirt. We printed this on with the Plastisol ink because this design has that red color, and I wanted to really pop out. Now the cons of printing with Plastisol ink is that in time it will crack. You wash it enough times that the ink will start cracking and get faded. If you also run your hands on it, you can actually feel the ink. This will also depend on what the type of blanks you use, either 100% cotton or mixed with polyester. The ink will have a different reaction on different types of garments. Now if your screen printer is really good and uses good inks, then you won't have this problem, and it'll just crack due to being worn and washed all the time. To find out if your screen printer is whack, stretch out the garment where they printed on. If you start seeing cracks already, that print shop is bad. Now there's the water-based ink. Water-based ink is an ink made with water rather than the PVC or plastic. It's made up of two main ingredients, water and pigment. So unlike with Plastisol ink, water-based ink usually seeps into the garment and dyes the material instead of laying on top of the garment. Water-based inks are soft to the touch since it seeps into the garment. You won't feel it if you've ran your fingers on it. So this is our Scrimador t-shirt. I told my screen printer to print this with a water-based ink. The ink is really soft to the touch, so you're not going to feel anything. I really like using this when I want a vintage look. The only thing about using water-based inks, the colors are not going to pop out like the Plastisol inks, but it's not going to fade and not going to crack. I suggest just trying both. See what you guys think of each one. Ask your screen printers about these two and check out their samples if they have any. Well, that's it, guys. I hope you guys find this video helpful. If you guys have any questions, make sure to leave them down in the comment section below. I will try my best to answer them. If you find any value on this video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe to this channel, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss any of the upcoming videos. I will be releasing a video each week, so stay tuned. Until then, I'll see you guys on to the next one.
So Plastisol, like I said, they're kind of dated. They were popular. They became popular back in the day, so probably around 1950s or 60s, something like that. So Plastisol transfers are pre-printed designs on a special paper that can be applied to the t-shirt. They offer consistent and durable prints. Alright, so that wraps it up for this module. I hope you got one or two things. I hope you've seen how these things work, and I know you should be able to make up your mind on what kind of printing technology that you can utilize for your print shop. Alright, so thank you for sticking around. I'll see you in the next one.